Okay, here we are again. I am trying to get through this transcript. It's almost done. This is part 7 of hearing the Lee Ziprin 2019 Trust of Lee J. Ziprin 2019 Trust, case number RP22120163 in Alameda County Superior Court. These guys are lying about, well, we don't want to talk about elder abuse, even though the guy was 66 and dying of cancer. They gave him 6 months to live, and he finally died after 6 years. And well, he changed his trust in the middle of a coma, and there was no undue influence, and there was no elder abuse. So this is a Roger. Of course, he got $57,000 out of the dead man's trust, and he wants to tell the judge, don't let the beneficiaries who got $4,000 5 years ago, let them, they're not allowed to talk about elder abuse. So here's in the transcript, it says, Your Honor, I have an objection. The pretrial conference was disposed of the issues of elder abuse, so the only issues today are for competency and undue influence, not elder abuse. That's right, said the judge. The court is aware of financial elder abuse definitions. That's not the issue before the court. Disgusting. But there's the court. The issue before the court is the institutional code 15610.70. The court has in front of it and can read from it. I don't think any of us really need to read from the code, okay? Yeah, you don't care. But there's something about a beneficiary cannot be a fiduciary. And it says here, okay, what I'd like to say about the situation, my brother's given 6 months to live in 2014. He has a thing called hepatic cellular carcinoma. As a medical person, my brother told me out of the blue he had 6 months to live in August of 2014. Proceeded to interview 100 doctors across the country, probably 200 nurses, read every medical journal. Everything came up. What do you call it? There's an acronym. It's overall survival, OS, 6 months. So I believe that. I really did believe my brother had 6 months because of 100 doctors across the country. I called ICUs in the middle of the night. Social workers could get medical people to scar down if I speak like an insider. A lot of them don't want to talk because they think you're going to do some medical malpractice. So after extensive research, I resigned myself to the fact my brother was probably going to die in 6 months, and we had not much. We lived in the same area, but not necessarily spent much time together. Having worked nights at the hospital, 6 months I wanted to offer my brother the best possible care. I became a patient advocate, brother, vital sign taker, medicine, contact the pharmacist, make sure there was. I gave everything over 6 years. I would meet with them at night, gave up 3 jobs in my educational aspirations to go from a mere emergency medical tech. I had big plans to be an emergency room technician for a few years, challenged the boards to be a physician's assistant, and worked maybe 10 years as a physician's assistant at $100,000 a year. Maybe at that point in my life where I'm now, I would have some significant savings. But my brother, I figured, only has 6 months. I better look out for him and I'll worry about my career later. Luckily, he lived 6 years, and that entire 6 years of working with my brother, 1 year was full-time at the house. He got back possession. But the other 5 years, I maintained a part-time job. My days off, I would be on the phone all day long, calling social workers, patient resources, trying to figure out how to fly my brother out to some other state where he could get some emergency surgery, etc., etc. As Roger said, I did try to donate half my liver. During this entire time, as soon as I found out, I did my best to contact his daughters. I'm not a social media person, but I went on, I had a friend go on their Facebook account and look for them, all their friends, and got some way to contact them, send them messages. And I said, please, Maxine and Flora, well, your father only has 6 months to live. You need to contact him. And there was one friend who worked at Moffett Library at Berkeley, and I called there and asked for this woman, and the next thing I know is that if you call her again, we'll call the police. Okay, and I almost ready here. I was merely trying to relay the clinical reality, given that the 2 daughters are occupational therapists. They're certified, they're licensed. They must have some medical education. They're licensed to take care of dependent children, dependent adults, and they would have some regard for their father. In my years working night shift out debates, it was a given. We would always see about 5% of terminal patients working on the oncology ward wholly abandoned by the family in the last 6 months of their life. Gentlemen would say, what about so-and-so in room 17? Nobody comes to see her. Oh, it's not one of those again. Luckily, that's only 5%. But every hospital knows these kinds of family members, and I never saw for 6 years. Your Honor, until I worked with my brother. I would like to make an objection based on relevance and hearsay. All right. So, Mr. Marley, the court does want to hear your story. So why don't we try to keep it concise and get to the point? Okay, thank you. So over years, working closely with my brother, no matter what area it did, no matter what the experts at UCSF had, no UCSF was a famous hospital until I read medical journals all over the world. From every corner of the world, they referred to the liver program at UCSF. And any social worker, I was bemoaning my brother's life expectancy. He said, if you're at UCSF, you're in the best hands. At this time, brothers, friends, my sisters, everybody was pleading with the daughters to contact him. They never did, not once, not a call, not a visit, not anything. And that last year, I was broke. I was working 3 days a week. My brother, he worked an hour a day at a job until the end. He wanted people to think he was active, but I saw it. He would get up in the morning, take medicine, have a small lunch. He would barely eat. He would go to some job that he had for a millionaire's house in the hills. He had a lot of contacts. He'd work for 2 hours, and he'd say, let's go home. He'd eat something else and go to sleep. The next day, worked for 2 hours. He wasn't working. He was barely working. Recall one day we were walking on the places. He laid down in the middle of the sidewalk like he was on a bed or a pillow. He said, I'm tired. I have to rest. And then he would get up. And then that was the last year of his life. But his entire life, no contact from his, but the entire time, no contact from his daughters. And there's in the literature this leads to premature death in terminal patients. Let's see. Okay, I don't want to talk about it. Okay, remember that you are going to have to prove that is undue influence. So there's anything else that you have? Oh, I would like you to dissuaded me, but I wanted to read what the definition was. I don't believe this justifies the definition of undue influence. All right, read me your definition. Not my definition, but okay, give me a second. It says, where does it come from? Here we go again. It says, I don't have it right now. It's from the government. It cites all kinds of sources. I saw it online at the library. I couldn't print it, so I copied and pasted it on my email. And it cites all kinds of, I don't have the official. Here it is. Undue influence. Definitions reported by Borchard Foundation, Law and Aging's final report. Okay, how long is it? I can't read this whole thing. I'd love to. Just read the best part. It says, the general overview of undue influence was conducted by Louise Roenberg, blah, blah, blah. It says, searching the database on World Wide Web. My goodness. Mr. Roenberg reviewed the literature on undue influence that pertains to elder abuse and has been referred to in the literature, which includes the totalitarian regimes control populations, how captors dupe prisoners to denounce their countries, collaborate with their captors, turn on fellow prisoners, how cults undue influence maintain members, why victims of domestic violence may not leave abusive relationships or take action against their batterers. Caregivers maintain control over who they care for. Hostages bond with captors. Professionals exploit relationships of trust and confidence with clients, and how white-collar criminals and con artists use manipulation for financial gifts. Okay, Mr. Margulies, I'm hearing in that definition somebody who has direct contact with the person, such as caregiver, professional people are manipulating. What are your allegations in regard to your daughters manipulating their brother? I wish I had a lawyer here. I'll answer you. And those are facts, right? May I answer a question? If I veer from this, there's something I wanted. No, I want to know what undue influence and facts in support of your allegations against the daughters. Okay, and ask the questions later. Give me my answers first.